everyone, my name is Susana West. I am the co-founder and the head chef at FreezerFit.com. Today we are with the member of the month, August 2022, Marcella LaBelle, and we're going to be doing a quick chat unfiltered about Marcella's experience as a FreezerFit member. Hi Marcella, how are you?
Hi Susie, good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me. I really appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. This is so much fun.
I know it'll be a lot of fun. This is actually the first time doing this, so it's gonna be interesting.
No
Okay,
worries.
let's jump right in.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with FreezerFit?
Sure. So just a bit of background about myself. I'm a working mom. I'm also a bit older, so I struggle with some energy issues as well. And of course, the mom guilt is that if you come home at the end of the day and you haven't really thought of what you're going to make for dinner, then you're feeding a lot of hot dogs and chicken nuggets, which is what I really wanted to break out of. The other thing you should know about me is I am not the best chef. So cooking does not come intuitively to me. So spices and flavors is just such a foreign thing to me that I tend to cook really bland. And so I really wanted to break out of that as well. And so when I saw your, you have that kind of webinar that you do where you show us the menus and you show us how to cook it, I was hooked immediately because even just the way you were describing the recipes, I could tell that there would be some flavor in it, just hearing how you talked about it. And I certainly wasn't wrong. When I went and I cooked a couple of your meals and I was like, yeah, this is good. So I signed up right away to FreezerFit. And I love the recipes. The thing that really gets me the most is the fact that there's so much flavor in them. And that's something that's really new to my family. And I really wanted that because I have a young daughter, she's 5. And I needed to develop her palate a little bit, right? Because I was trying to break out of that chicken nuggets and hot dog, rut. So, I couldn't, hit her too hard with the spices, but I really wanted to be able to do a little bit of exploration in the kitchen, especially with COVID and we weren't going to restaurants and, we just needed some variety. So when I started FreezerFit, I started really exploring the recipes. And the biggest thing that hit me was the flavor profiles. No connoisseur in me whatsoever, but my whole family really commented on how good the meals tasted. And that was something that was new for me. So I ask my daughter, thumbs up or thumbs down on meals when we start introducing new foods. And, at the time she was like 3.5. So there were a lot of thumbs down in general on my meals, but I was getting a lot of thumbs up when I used FreezerFit recipes. So that really encouraged me to keep going. The biggest thing that I found is that this is a huge time saver. So I can plan, I do this about every 2 weeks. I go into your program and I take a look at what meals that I want to make. And then I set aside an afternoon. It's usually a 2-hour slot because I want to make a lot of meals and it's during my daughter's nap. And so I make a bunch of meals and then I just stick them in the freezer. And when I get home, Instapot's my best friend. I just throw them in and my family actually gets a home cooked, flavorful, healthy meal. And so it just kind of hit the nail on the head for all of the things that I was looking for.
That's amazing. I mean, thank you so much. That's just, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your recipes and you just have a talent for the taste, right? That's what's so different between your meals and let's say another freezer menu program, or even just the recipes you find off the internet. It's kind of hit and miss sometimes as to whether or not they actually taste good. That was what really kind of stood out for me with FreezerFit. So
I appreciate that. Coming from Venezuela, it's like, I get all of these flavors and I'm like looking. I'm very foodie. My husband and I are super foodie, so we're always looking to get, like a little bit of everything in the house. Like one night Italian, one night Mexican food. So I really understand where you're coming from with all the flavors and all of that. So I'm there with you.
Yeah, it really seems to come naturally for you in your recipes, which of course people like me who have no talent in the kitchen are really benefiting from. because I just follow it step by step, and then my family actually gets a little bit more variety in their diet and in their taste buds, and we're developing a more sophisticated palate in our family, which is, which is really, really nice. So
I love that. Yeah, that's great. So you say that you cook for your husband and your daughter. It's only 3 of you in the house?
Yeah, currently only 3. So what I typically do with the FreezerFit menus, I still put it at a 6-person serving for my shopping purposes. And then all I really do is just split the recipe in 2. And it's still really generous if it's sort of, I split it in 2, and that way I get 2 meals for 1. And still it's generous. I still have leftovers, which is great as well.
That's great. Yeah. For lunch, or, like there's a lot of people that like split in 2 and then eat it for lunch or for dinner. So they have the whole day figured out.
Yeah. No, it really helps. Just, it's that last minute, what are you going to have for dinner thing? And I think one of the big things, there's 2 things that really help. One of them is that a lot of the meals in the FreezerFit are not requiring any pre-cooking. In fact, most of them are not, right? So there's not you're not browning the meat or stuff like that in most of the recipes. So you're really just dumping and freezing. And then on the other end of things, again, it's just dump and cook, right? So, I'm usually partial to the Instapot menus. And so that's usually what I'm going for, because again, it's a time crunch for me. However, the one that really gets me is your out of this world chili. Now, I told you that I'm not great in the kitchen. Yeah, it totally is. My pride and joy is my one home cooked chili recipe. That's the one thing that I was sure that I had hit the nail on the head until I cooked your out of this world chili, and it was way better than what I was using. So now that's our new chili recipe. And again, that's the one that got thumbs up from, all of us in the family. So I've cooked a lot of your meals dozens of times. And so, I would say that at least 50% of our meals are coming from FreezerFit for the dinners, at least. So,
wow. Yeah. I mean, what an honor to be, such a part of this family. I feel like we're I'm like,
there you go, right?
Yeah.
Well, your experiences in a different country just helps us bland people that don't know how to cook just have a greater experience in the kitchen. And it really has even opened up, my daughter, who's now 5, her willingness to try new foods, right? So
I love that. That's a great thing to learn from such a young age,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I really wanted to instill it early. It wasn't something that I had the opportunity for in my life. So as I said, I'm not a good cook. So I didn't want that affliction to impact how my daughter grew up perceiving food, right? So it's really nice to have some help in that department and just trust that, the menu is tried and true. If I make it, I know that it's going to have a new flavor profile that we haven't tried before. And I like that. So we have a couple of sort of go-to favorites that are always in our freezer. And then usually I'll make at least 1 or 2 more recipes each session that we've never tried before, just so that, there's variety within the freezer. So
I love that. You just make me so happy.
Oh, you know what? Thank you so much for all the work that you do on this. I mean, how many recipes are in FreezerFit at this point? There's hundreds.
There's a lot. There's like over 500 recipes. It's a lot of work, but it was so worth it. I love cooking since I was very young, and helping people, it's just amazing, especially during quarantine. And I just feel like big families just really need like a little help in the kitchen, a little free time.
For sure. And it doesn't have to be complicated. This is one thing that I've learned is that if you understand how spices work together, and if you understand, then it's really simple. These recipes are not going to take you hours in the kitchen, and the time saving is, really what sold it. But yeah, that's how I would say it. The time savings was what sold me on the membership. The flavors are what keeps me going back over and over again.
I love that. So how much time do you think you're saving?
Oh, well, for me, it's 2 things. I save hours and hours a week because, as a working mom, I'm a clinician. So I don't necessarily know when I'm going to get home from work, if there's an emergency in the clinic or that type of thing. So, you know, I'm hoping to get home by about 5, but then of course you're going straight into making dinner. But if I'm late, then that means no dinner on the table, right? So, or it's something quick like hot dogs. So, you know, it's on the weekdays, there's quite a bit of time savings because you just dump and run. But here's the one thing I need you to know, Susie, is that I sort of trade off cooking with my husband. And the thing that FreezerFit helps me do is I can make the meal planning and I can put it in the freezer, but those printable labels that tell you the instructions, that's when my husband can take over. So if I'm going to be late, he can dump and cook. So without much effort, he just reads the instructions and then he puts it into the Instapot. And away we go. And so then I actually come home to a warm, healthy, home cooked meal.
Wow.
So yeah, so it works really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like a lifesaver. That's how I keep saying it. It's just really that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a time saver, and it really has impacted how my family's dinners are. So
that's amazing. I'm so happy for you guys. I actually, you gave an amazing testimonial in the private Facebook group.
Oh, I did? I don't remember.
I mean, you always are super active there. That's why I like,
right.
As soon as we came up with the idea of like member of the month, like Marcella.
Oh, nice.
You're just like always there, you know, giving updates. And I really love that. But this testimonial in particular really blew me up. I still, you know, learning the English, but like really blew me away.
Yes.
And you say that this was in January, and you say, thanks FreezerFit for contributing to our journey to health.
Yes.
Down 60 pounds, and the husband is down 150 pounds.
Yeah.
And I am teaching my daughter about the flavors while saving a ton of time.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to adjust that a little bit because my husband's way surpassed me on the weight loss. So he's over 160 pounds lost now.
Oh my God.
So yes, I mean, it just goes to show that, you know, lifestyle changes at FreezerFit absolutely was sort of a large part of that. And we're doing activities that we never did before in our marriage. You know, we just got e-bikes and started tooling around. But, you know, it has a ripple effect on every aspect of your lifestyle when, you know, the choices that you're making in the kitchen are, you know, healthier choices. Yeah. And you're not bored and you're enjoying the food. And so, yes, I'm sure, because you know what happens, Susie, is that every time I have a cooking session with FreezerFit meals, I feel like a super mom after the session. So then I go on Facebook and I rave about it because I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm bragging a little bit.
No, keep doing it. You are killing it. Honestly, like I love when people keep giving me updates and, you know, recommendations and suggestions. Like I really appreciate that. So every time people like, you know, today we made 20 meals and I'm like, oh, like you guys are inspiring me.
It's crazy. Well, for me as well, like because I split the meals in two since we are a smaller family, I'm going to make, literally when we're off of this call, I'm getting everything ready. I'm doing my cooking session. Ooh. So I have 3 recipes. It's not going to be a big one. It's just a little one to kind of top up my freezer. So I'm doing 3 recipes, but I'm going to get 6 meals out of it. Right. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Saturday meal prep. I love that.
Yes. Well, it's when my daughter's sleeping, right? So then again, I minimize the time I'm spending in the kitchen and maximizing time with my family.
I love that. Well, I guess I can see that it really improved your quality of life and you guys feel healthier and, you know, you got some bikes. I love that. And FreezerFit definitely had a lot to do with that. So like, I'm like,
well, keep making the meals. I get so excited when I sign on and I see a bunch of new recipes and it's like, okay, which one are we going to try? So
try some new ones. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, talking about recipes, I know that you mentioned out of this world chili, but I'm always curious to know, you know, which other recipes are your favorite ones? Like
Sure. So my freezer always has the vegetarian quesadillas in it. Always. I'm going to make it today. The Korean ground beef is really, really flavorful.
That's definitely
my personal favorite, I think, is the beef stroganoff, but that's a bit of a treat meal because there's pasta in it. So so there's that. The out of those world chili is definitely a winter favorite. So we have that. And the mushroom risotto which surprises me that my family eats mushroom risotto.
I know. I know. I
yes.
love risotto. That recipe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know, so again, it's introducing foods that would not otherwise be eaten, right? So, you know, it's the flavor profile, so they enjoy it and they don't know what's in it. So, you know, they don't ask and I don't tell. So we get the veggies in without the fight.
Yeah, you honestly, like I believe when I was growing up, like I used to hate veggies because, you know, you can really taste them and like they almost like sound when you like buy them. And with all of these recipes, I feel like they just like fuse themselves so much so like you cannot taste the veggies. So like it's great for the kids. Like
so, and you're not making separate meals. Like I refuse to make like nuggets for the little one and something else for us. Like, you know, she needs to be introduced to it. So those are the ones that come to mind. I'm trying a new one today. I think it's a sausage and pepper tray. So I figured that was good and that will be sort of an easy kind of more summary recipe. And so we'll try that. But we're making the Korean ground beef, that sausage and pepper tray, and the vegetarian quesadillas today. So
I love that. I'm excited for you to try the other one, the new one.
Yeah. Every time I try to make one new one, so that way, you know, you're finding your next favorite, right?
Yeah, you'll have to give us an update in the Facebook.
Sure, I'll throw it in the Facebook group on how we went.
Do you feel like your FreezerFit membership is helping you guys save money at the grocery store? And if so, like how much money are you saving?
So that's the thing. My goodness, groceries are going up so much, aren't they?
I know.
And, you know, I think there's a lot of families out there struggling a lot, you know, when it's going up 30% and the inflation rate's going up and, you know, gas is going up. There's so many stressors on the budget. It's very easy to be tempted to make concessions on the grocery bill and maybe choose lesser healthy foods because they're cheaper. But when you meal plan, number one, there's way less waste, especially when you're doing freezer meals, right? So you're not, you know, having good intentions on grocery day, buying the veggies and then not ending up using them and having waste because you're prepping the meals. You're putting them in the freezer. If you don't eat it that week, no biggie, you eat it next week. So there's way less waste, which means that your dollar is stretching. But also, yes, you're right. Like when you make the purchases and pre-plan, you're really purchasing only what you need. And there's things in my pantry that I never thought that I would have, like sesame oil and fish sauce and chili sauce, like. So, you know, there might be a little investment up front when you first start getting into the FreezerFit because you're buying these things, but they last forever. So, you know, you're only using a tablespoon here and there. So you're beefing up your pantry, but then it's like magic. You're putting all these, you know, these ingredients together and then it makes a meal. And oftentimes what I find is I go into FreezerFit and I choose the meals that I want to do. Then you look at the shopping list and it's like, well, I already have that. I have that. It's all in the pantry, right? Here's my spices. They're all in my spice drawer. So I'm only really buying, you know, the meat, if there's meat in the dish, and perhaps the fresh produce. And so, you know, you're getting these sophisticated meals, but since the investment was already put up front into the pantry, you're not always buying over and over again this big grocery bill, right? So yeah, it actually gets cheaper and cheaper the more you do it. So
I love that. And it's crazy. I feel like sometimes just one little ingredient can like change the recipe. Like you can be using literally the same ingredients for all of these baggies. And then one ingredient is the one that is gonna give it like that flavor and like that with all of, you know, like salt, pepper, garlic, powder, onion powder, and then you got the chili paste, and then automatically is Asian.
I have no idea how it works, Susie. Whatever you said, I don't understand it because I said it's so not intuitive to me. So I'm just going to trust that you do the magic and mix it, and I'll just follow your instructions.
I'm glad you follow my instructions. Here are the results.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so like, I don't know how or why it tastes better, but it just does. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not totally loyal to you. I've tried other freezer meal programs, and I've canceled one. It was too bland. My family asked me to cancel it. It was too bland.
Oh my God.
Okay, back to FreezerFit. I have another one. I don't go to it. I keep going back to FreezerFit because of the flavors. And that's what I said, like, you know, the, what did I say at the beginning? That the cost savings and the time savings is what sold me the program, but it's the flavors that actually make me actively use it. Yeah. You know, so that you're not just purchasing something and then, you know, you forget about it and you don't actually use it. It's, you know, you are a part of my grocery shop. Every time I sit down, it's like, okay, first go into FreezerFit, look at what you want to make, now make your shopping list, and then go shopping, right? So, you know, it is something that I do go back to, and it's just become a natural part of our routine. So yeah, you're just part of our family at this point.
Well, so awesome. Thank you so much for coming back to FreezerFit, and, you know, congratulations guys, because it's been a huge impact in your health life and in your overall like family, you know, exploring flavors and this and the others. So I love that. And you say that you got some bikes and now you're spending your free time, you know, even doing more healthy stuff, like, you know, being outside, getting some vitamin D, and like, I love that.
Yeah. And certainly it's kind of been a natural evolution for us. So you know, yes, we knew we wanted to get healthier. We didn't want to count calories. We didn't want to do any of that.
Yeah, no.
So it's been a long, slow journey, but I think that's where the sustainability is, right? So yeah, and the meals in FreezerFit, you know, there's such a variety. Like you know, how did I ever think that I would convince my family to eat something other than meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going, okay, what's vegetarian in there? Let's dip our toe into the vegan cuisine.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you'll be surprised. There's
like
dishes that, like, you know, just because it's vegan, a lot of people think it's just veggies and it's like a little bland, and no, it's like it tastes just like a normal dish with like chicken and stuff, but it doesn't have any of that, and it's just like
it's made quite a difference for us to be even willing to explore a different type of cuisine, really. You know, so to go in and you know, sometimes I'm like, I just don't even feel like meat, so let's go find a vegetarian dish. And so we go into FreezerFit and I'll find one that's, you know, vegetarian. So like, it's just a totally different palate and mindset. Like, it's changed our palate, right? Like, so then you go, and if you have, you know, sort of a really junky meal, it's like, oh, this is gross, like pizza, ugh, it's gross. My daughter refuses to eat pizza. She does not like pizza. And so, you know, it changes your palate to appreciate perhaps a bit of a more sophisticated type of cuisine, right? So
your body definitely gets used to that. I remember I got into the keto diet and I stopped just eating like a tons of sugar, a tons of like like those like empty carbs, and like my body just doesn't like want them anymore. Like every time I go like a public you know, a cafe or restaurant, and I get like a normal lemonade or something like that,
right,
charged with a tons of sugar, I just like, no, like it gives me like headache. It's a lot. So like your body definitely gets used to like eating at home, and like you counting like your seasonings and like all of that, you know. And your body just is so used to that it's hard to go back to normal.
Well, I mean, maybe it's probably best that we don't eat that junk anyway, right? But you know, like, I guess I have a 5-year-old that doesn't like pizza. Like, I'm really in trouble here. Like, what am I going to do on birthdays? You know, I'm going to make out of this little chili for everybody, but
maybe we need to start putting some recipes for like party snacks and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, soups, I'd really like to see some more soups. I get excited when there's a new soup recipe. You know, for some reason, in winter, like, that's what I crave. It's like the stews, the soups, you know. So we've done a bunch of the soups, and you know, the one that really surprised me, actually, I don't know the name of the title. It's the cabbage soup.
Actually my husband was like really surprised with that one too. I mean, we, you know, trying new things, right? For the both of us, when I'm coming with recipes, I'm like, baby, try this. And then, oh my God, he was like, I really like this. I think it was like, did it have like peanut?
It has apricot preserves in it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so I don't know if that's a secret ingredient or not. I just gave it away, sorry. But no, it's I don't know what you call it. It's like a deconstructed cabbage soup or something like that. Anyway, you know, again, cabbage soup, you know, but
yeah,
my family really enjoys it. So
I love that.
Yeah. So that's another big one. But yes, I'm always looking and perusing for the soups, particularly because it's, again, dump and cook, right? That's so key for me on the weekdays, especially. So my routine is typically weekends. I'll do I'll spend an hour or two on the weekend doing freezer meals. And then the weekdays would be just the dump and cook. So
love that. What do you think is the favorite part of being a FreezerFit member?
So I keep going back to the flavors. Honestly, that's what just really gets me. Because as you said, as I said, I'm no stranger to other freezer meal programs, but I don't use them often because I find that I'm now disappointed in the flavor profiles. And what a snob I sound, because now I'm becoming this connoisseur of what's the word, anonymity or whatever.
I get that. I've been there when I'm following a recipe that I just want to like a quick kind of like know a lot of ingredients recipe, and the only ingredients just like chicken, cream of chicken soup, or like mushroom soup, and that's it, and it just doesn't give you that, I don't know.
Well, and the point is to explore. So I didn't just want recipes where I could just go on the internet and Google them, right? Because anybody can go on the internet and Google recipes and try them, and they'll be hit and miss. But it really is like, if you take a look in FreezerFit, just sort of the vast variety of cultural cuisines there. And again, it's an opportunity to introduce that to my family, right? So the cabbage soup was a surprising one. I made it and I was like, not sure about this. It smelled a little weird, put it in the freezer, kind of, procrastinated for a bit. And then one day I just pulled it out and I made it. And then we ate every last bite. I'm looking at my kid eating cabbage and being happy about it.
Like, wow.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay. So that's what always is fun, getting surprised at, okay, suddenly you cook it and then the magic of the flavors comes out, right? So
but I definitely understand. Sometimes when we're running out of time. Sometimes when you're cooking something and it's smelling kind of weird and you're so afraid, and like all of a sudden it's just like your favorite meal now, like but you definitely have to trust the process. But I have one last question for you before we go. What would you tell someone who's in the fence about buying the membership? Maybe they watch the webinar and they still don't feel that strong about going all the way with it. What would you tell those people?
Okay, I got a couple of things I would say to them. Number one, even the pricing structure is really low risk because it's not like this ongoing fee, right? So you're paying it and then you're done. And it's almost like every time you open that cookbook, it's a new fresh cookbook because new recipes go in. So it's constantly changing and you're always taking advantage of those upgrades. So that's number one. Number two, I think that even just purely with the savings in the first couple of months of using it, even if you're not using like every meal FreezerFit, but just going into it once in a while, you're actually going to pay for itself. Again, with the reduced waste of food, the fresh produce that you're going to throw away because you never get around to cooking it. You actually make your freezer meals. They're in there, you eat them, so the less waste. That's saving money. And so it's going to pay for itself eventually. So for those two things alone, I think it's totally worth it.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess like when you buy like a lot of ingredients and there is like a little, like maybe half of the ingredient that you didn't use, then you can go in the membership and you can find in the ingredients option, and you can look for that ingredient and just find a recipe that has it, and then just like usually all of our recipes has like the same ingredients, like the same base, like seasonings, oil, chicken broth, and then you find that special ingredient that you're looking for to make, and then that ingredient disappears from your fridge and it doesn't root. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's definitely a good point to bring up. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, because you can search by type of cuisine, you can search by protein type, like, or type of dietary needs, that type of thing. So big thing for me is the printable labels. That's such a time saver, because if I'm gonna, write out the instructions to my husband, if I'm at work and he's gonna have to put the meal in, like, just to press print and then stick it on, like, that's a huge time saver alone. Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah.
Well, I'm so happy for you guys, and definitely congratulations again on
the thank you.
way, and just fitting this membership into your life, and allowing
it was easy. I didn't put any effort into it. It just kind of happened, and we kept going back and back. So kudos to you for creating a product that is usable almost on an everyday basis for us. So thank you so much for all the recipes and the work that you do.
I really appreciate it. Well, again, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was our first member of the month, Marcella LaBelle.
Yeah.
Her experience with FreezerFit, and I hope to keep seeing your updates in the FreezerFit Facebook group.
I'll update this afternoon after I make that pepper meal.
Can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Marcella. Have a wonderful Saturday.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.